Operation Safe, a move to clear homeless camps on state property. This made headlines. It drew a lot of praise and some criticism when it was unveiled in Tulsa. And now Operation Safe has come to OKC, this time with some notable changes. These images you see here, posted online by Governor Kevin Stitt. Governor Stitt also sitting down with me this week on Oklahoma Chronicle. Governor, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We know you're a busy man, and I do want to spend most of our time talking about Operation Safe, the issue of homelessness here in the metro and in the state. But also, I got to talk to you about the government shutdown right now.
Sure.
We are speaking on Thursday morning, so things might change by the time, because this is airing Sunday morning. But unless things drastically change, SNAP benefits have just been canceled for, hundreds of thousands of Oklahomans. There's reports of furloughs coming from DHS. You've expressed at length your frustration about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I want Oklahomans to know that we're going to do everything we can to inform, to protect, to get all of our, nonprofits, churches engaged, to make sure it's the minimal disruption as possible. But to remind everybody, this is a federal program. So
SNAP is, yes.
SNAP is,
Yeah.
and the feds fund this. And so we are working with our federal delegation, with our state leaders to figure out exactly what to do. But yeah, it's going to affect some folks. So we're going to, we've set up a website called beaneighbor.org. And if you have food insecurity, we want you to go there. It will connect you to churches, nonprofits, food banks. I did a press conference yesterday at the regional food bank here as we're preparing for the disruption in some of the SNAP benefits across the state.
And I know you've been asked a lot about using that $3.5 billion or some of it to helping out. As you say, it's a federal issue. You would not like to use state funds to address this at this time. Would there be a time, say this stretches on, this shutdown for an extended period of time, does that ever change the calculus? For example, New Mexico just announced they're going to use $30 million to try to help out some in that time.
Well, absolutely can. And I've given $20 million to the regional food banks over the last few years through CARES funding and ARPA funding. So we have to do that regularly, and we will continue to do that. But $30 million really is not going to scratch the surface. Our program just in Oklahoma in the month of November will be $130 million shortfall. Okay, and it's not the only program that's affected with the government shutdown. So I just want to remind Oklahomans, this is a federal problem. Congress has got to fix this. And I'm proud of our federal delegation. All of them have voted to reopen the government, and we need 6 more votes in the U.S. Senate to get this open. They have to fix this. But sure, all options are on the table, and we're going to do everything we can. But what everybody needs to realize is our rainy day fund, which I've maxed out, I have as much money as possibly in there.
Right.
It is for a revenue shortfall in the state of Oklahoma. This is a federal program. So it's super complicated how we actually access that and how we actually fund it. We're not even allowed to put money on these credit cards, these SNAP things.
Which is how it works, yeah.
Which is how it works. So I've had to kind of go around to make sure that the churches are involved, that we're setting up different food distributions around the state. But I'm just very hopeful that Congress is going to fix this. And like all Americans, we're really pushing our federal delegation to, hey, let's get this thing solved.
Let's talk about Operation Safe, homelessness. This, was a big deal in Tulsa when you brought it there, to the point where you had a lot of people saying, can it come anywhere else here in the state? Can we see it in Oklahoma City? Can we see it in Norman? What are some of the lessons that you learned from having that done in Tulsa that then you brought to the OKC Metro? Because, as I mentioned, there are changes, and we can get into those.
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, the Tulsa community came to me and just said, Governor, we have a huge problem, the business community. And I was shocked. When I went up there and laid eyes on it, it had gotten out of control. And I just want to remind people, I'm not solving the homelessness issue here in Oklahoma. That's up to the nonprofits, the mental health providers, the rehab facilities. But I will enforce the law, and we're not going to allow people to live under bridges. That's not compassion either. And so I've instructed them to work with the nonprofits here in Oklahoma City. So Key to Home has done a really good job of going out before we came in and to provide resources to people to say, hey, come here to our facility. We will get you a house. We're going to get you the services that you need. But you cannot live here in these communities. So I think about the kids walking to school and the businesses that are setting up. We can't allow homelessness to be laying out in front of businesses and open drug use and some of the things we're seeing in other communities. And so I instructed our folks to work with the nonprofits and actually go clean up our cities.
Have you seen an impact bringing in Key to Home, which we've talked about on this program as really being a successful program here in the OKC area? Have you seen a difference in how this is rolling out in OKC compared to Tulsa?
I think so. It's not as bad as Tulsa, to be quite frank.
The problem of homelessness?
The problem of homelessness. So we've cleaned up, in Tulsa, we cleaned up 64 sites.
Right.
And it was 2 million pounds of debris. It was unbelievable, the amount of, there were 2-story structures. We found stolen credit cards in tents, and we found needles discarded everywhere, and very a bad situation. We've cleaned up 11 sites so far, or 11 sites here in Oklahoma City in Zone 1 around an I-40 corridor, but we're working with the nonprofits to make sure that we provide the services people need. And that's the thing that, as compassionate Oklahomans, we want people to get help. But let me just tell you something. We all have family members that we know that until you hit rock bottom,
right,
sometimes they don't want help. And they're going to move on to another city or state that's going to allow them to do open drug use. And unfortunately, there's some mayors in some states that allow that, and we're not going to do that in Oklahoma.
We had a panel discussion a few weeks back here on Oklahoma Chronicle. Senator Lisa Standridge was here, and she was asking for it to come to Norman. Do you see this Operation Safe moving to Norman at some point?
It's a possibility for sure. We think we've gotten the mayor's attention and folks in the business community and the nonprofits, and they're starting to clean up themselves around the state. But we've heard from a lot of different communities saying, "Hey, I get texts from people that are showing me under a bridge here or there," and so everything's on the table. I mean, we've went back to Tulsa to make sure that nobody went back to some of those areas. And
had there been a move back into some
very small, but okay, there was some, so we had to re-clean that up. And this is a whole effort that we need to do, and so. And I like to remind people, we continue to fund mental health at record numbers. Unlike what some of the media has said that we're cutting mental health, that's not true. We're continuing to put more money in mental health, the budget there. We are holding some of these vendors accountable and some of the providers. But yeah, listen, we're gonna enforce the law as long as I'm governor, and we're gonna make sure that we have clean streets and we have a clean community and we're gonna give the people help that they need it.
In that panel discussion that we had a few weeks ago, we also had the Homeless Alliance CEO, Megan Mueller, on as well. And you mentioned just a second ago, you said, listen, solving the problem, that's up to the nonprofits, the churches. I think that she would argue that it's also a state problem, that there needs to be talking about the investment, that there needs to be more investment on the front end. There needs to be more housing is what they really call for. Is there more the state could do to increase housing in the state, make that easier? I know that Oklahoma is already one of the easier states to build in compared to a state like California where it can be difficult. Is there more, though, the state can do?
Sure, there's always something we can ask ourselves what we can do, but this is not the state's job. My opinion, I'm a free market, limited government, smaller government person. I think you can go back and the data will support me. When you build housing, when you make it easier to be homeless, when you give everybody 3 meals a day and a house to live in, that is not, you can never build enough houses. You will just continue to attract and attract and attract.
Right.
We want to give people a hand up. We want to give people that want to get better a pathway, no doubt about it. But I would disagree with her that the state is going to take tax dollars from the taxpayers of Oklahoma to go build housing for someone to give it to them for free. That's not a winning philosophy, and I think I can point to Portland, Oregon, and Los Angeles, California, and some of these cities that are embracing that methodology. And to me, that's not working. And so, do we need to have some shelter and some emergency housing? Of course we do, and we've got that around the state of Oklahoma. But for me to build housing just for more people to come here for free is not a solution that I'm in favor of.
I know you were talking about this before. We had an interview, and you used the phrase to talk about people who, I believe you were saying they were being idealistic, not realistic. You used the phrase goody two-shoes, those goody two-shoes people. And I know it rubbed people, especially in the nonprofit sector, the advocacy sector, it really rubbed them the wrong way. Do you regret using that phrase?
Not at all. I mean, listen, I think the reason I'm governor, the reason that I can talk to people is I'm a regular Oklahoman. I grew up in Norman. My granddad had an 8th grade education from Skiatook, Oklahoma. Regular Oklahomans know exactly what I'm talking about. The Chamber of Commerce crowd, the goody two-shoes, the people that always think that they can solve it and they can sit in their country clubs and have a steak dinner and talk about solving homelessness. But the people on the ground know that building more houses and giving away more free stuff doesn't solve anything. And so when I talk about that, I try to talk like a real Oklahoman would understand, and I think they do understand me when I say that. And not to disparage anyone, there's great people that are focused on nonprofits, and I'm philanthropic, and a lot of Oklahomans are. But remember, Oklahomans are too smart. That when people are coming out criticizing what I'm doing on cleaning up homelessness, you just got to realize they're pitching their book at you. How do they make money by getting more? This is a great opportunity for them to get more money from the business community and from donations for them to solve a problem that they've been working on for 100 years.
I just got 30 seconds. Last question. I looked it up this week. You have something like 430 something days left in office. How are you looking towards that?
You know, I'm excited. It has been such an honor to serve my state, and being a kid that grew up in Oklahoma and went to high school and college here, and
hard to believe
it's been
8 years.
Oh,
almost.
Absolutely. And I have a countdown in my office that Governor Jeb Bush sent me when I was first elected, and basically it just says make every day count. And so we know that time goes by, and that's a lesson to all of us. The everyday count with our children at home. Time goes so fast, and so it's a reminder for all of us as Americans, as Oklahomans, to make every day count with our community, with our friends, with our kids. And I'm trying to do that with my job as governor, and then I'll go back and I'll cheer on the next guy, and it'll be a fun to watch the next one. But I'm so proud of what we've accomplished in my first 7 years.
Governor, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Evan.
We appreciate it.